It's coming home. It's coming home. Football's coming home. Welcome back to BoreDraw with a little bonus episode here where we're going to be talking about the bloody England Lionesses are in the World Cup final against the Spain Senoritas.
They are indeed. So we're filming this on Wednesday after England have beaten Australia, the hosts.
Quite convincingly.
Of the World Cup. Quite convincingly. The scoreline 3-1 to the Lionesses.
Yeah, might slightly flatter England, who has to withstand some moments of pressure from a fantastic Australia attack, with the likes of Sam Kerr sort of did terrorise England for periods of the game, but for large parts they were in control, they were comfortable, they took Australia on the front foot. So congratulations to Sarah Weigman and the Lionesses.
I think they are coming into red hot form at just the right time, because they started the tournament a little bit slow, didn't really. I think the first few games they had
the Haiti game was like really almost borderline painful to watch, because they had so much of the ball, they had so many opportunities, but they were sort of swiping at shots. They weren't really getting to the most dangerous areas. They weren't clinical in front of goal. And you thought, oh, this team looks a bit leggy. Maybe they were the success of the Euros and sort of that massive win streak that they sort of lost before the World Cup. Maybe their legs have gone a little bit. But yeah, like you say, they've grown throughout the tournament. Obviously, Lauren James was probably their star player throughout the tournament until she got sent off. But good news for everyone, she's back for the final, which is...
I wouldn't start her.
I wouldn't as well. I think she's such a secret weapon to have off the bench. Yeah. And I think the team plays better without her.
Yeah, I agree. I think so, like we were talking about, they coming into red hot form at the right time. They came into this tournament, I think they hadn't scored a goal in a hot minute. And then there was talks about who should play up top. Rachel Daly, who's playing at left back at the moment, there was calls for her to be the starting striker because she was a top goal scorer in the WSL last season. So it was like a lot of calls for her to be starting, but Serena Weigman put faith in Alessia Russo, my girl Alessia Russo, joining the Arsenal ladies. What a player. And she is coming into form at just the right time as well. 2 goals in the last 2 games, I think it is now. And I think they've got a setup now that is starting to fire. I know we're talking about Lauren James, and I don't think they play as well with her in the team. I think she kind of demands too much of the ball, and the kind of attacking play isn't as free-flowing as it was today. I really like Hemp and Alessia Russo up top together. I think they play off each other really well. And yeah, I think going into the final against Spain, England can be pretty confident, because I think they've got to be favourites. Spain came into this tournament never having won a knockout game in a World Cup before. So to get to the final is pretty crazy for them. And England have never been to the World Cup final, so that's pretty massive.
But they're going in as European champions. They've probably played maybe the best football in the competition.
The ones to beat, 100%. I think, Spain, they came off of a very good result against Sweden, who were my favourites to win the whole tournament. I had a cheeky little bet on them to win the tournament.
Sweden beat Japan, didn't they? Who were probably the most complete footballing team in the World Cup. They were unbelievable at points. So it should be stated that we can't underestimate Spain going into this final, because you never really know who's going to show up on the day. That's sort of the nature of a knockout game. You can be as good as you want to be throughout the whole tournament, but it's the last 90 minutes that matter. So
they got Patelis back in form as well, and obviously she's a quality player. And then they got this 19-year-old lass who came off the bench last game, Pereiro. She's insane. So apparently if she wins against England, she'll have won 3 world championships in 3 years, which is crazy.
Oh, is that with like under
19s and under 21s?
So Spain have got a pretty decent youth
so
setup.
She is cracked. But I do think overall England have a better unit, and
this England team, they seem to have the bottle to get it over the line. Like almost the opposite of the men's team to a certain degree. Like they rise to the occasion. And
I think that's testament to Serena Weigman, mate. She is such a good manager, such a good tournament manager. I think she's got to 3 championship finals in a row now. So she did it with, I think, the Netherlands, and then she got England to the Euros final and won it. And then,
now the World Cup final.
Now the World Cup final. So she is such an underrated manager in the game, and I think, yeah, she's imparted this kind of never say die attitude. Like in the last game against Colombia, when they were 1-0 down, everyone was kind of like, oh, bloody chocks. But they came back again, good result. And I think, like in this game, you go 1-0 up and then you concede against the hosts. All the momentum's with the hosts. Australia,
especially with the nature of the goal, it's a Sam Kerr sort of wonder goal from outside the box. He literally gets the ball sort of just past the halfway line, shrugs off a tackle, goes past, and then just smashes it past Earps and goal. And at that point, you just think it's meant to be for Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. With Sam Kerr flying as well, and obviously a lot of these Australian lasses know the England lasses from the WSL, so there's a lot of like intense rivalry and kind of wanting to get one up on each other. But yeah, I think the ability to kind of manage that situation, go in 1-1 and kind of reset, then get Lauren Hemp's goal, and then kind of settle the game, kill it off. And I think that's something the men's team can't do.
Real gamesmanship as well, and it probably is testament to Weigman, who they were taking the ball into the corner, they were killing off the game, they were slowing down the game when they got possession of the ball. I saw early on this game as well a clear tactical intent from England where they were getting it to their back line and they were looking for these like really long over the top through balls because they were challenging for every first ball that dropped.
Yeah,
I think they knew they had probably the beating of the Australian centre backs or wide bags, and that they kept looking that every time they got the ball it would recycle back to one of the centre backs and you just see them launch up the pitch.
Yeah, Millie Bright's got such a good kind of diagonal. She kind of reminds me of Van Dijk, that she'd always pick out like the right-sided forward, and Alessia Russo, her hold-up play is insane.
Yeah, and that was clearly a game plan from the off, and at that point they were widening the pitch. They were causing Australia to have a massive gap between their defensive line and midfield and their attacking line, and they were playing with like the flat forward, so they weren't being able to sort of bridge the gaps. So England had loads of space in between the thirds, which was really impressive to see. It just shows sort of like the level of tactical analysis there is at this level. And yeah, I think Weigman's sort of coaching throughout the tournament has been fantastic because you're coming up against a lot of different style of teams. You're coming against teams who are more technical. You've got teams who are like, a lot of teams here are physical, and they're there to win the physical battles. Spain, I think, might be the opposite. I think Australia probably border on like a nice balance of the two.
Yeah,
they got some really good technical players. Colombia, brilliant technically and physically. Like
probably more so physically.
Haiti, though, we saw in the first game, really physical team, and it caused England quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
But Spain, I think, might be more technical, which may play actually into England's hands a bit more, and they'd probably be allowed to play their football. Yeah,
I think if you go like technical versus technical against England, they got so many elite players in the midfield. You got Kira Walsh and Georgia Stanway, two of the best central midfielders in world football. And then I think the back line, so to play a three at the back, which is normally what England don't do, but this kind of setup now where they've got three centre backs of Alex Greenwood, Millie Bright and Jess Carter, allows Rachel Daly and Lucy Bronze to bomb on down the wings. And I think there was like a panic at first when Kira Walsh got injured that there would be no one to kind of like dictate that midfield, but her being fit for the rest of the tournament and then having those two wide players allows Russo and Hemp to stay central but can also drift wide, and they're so good in the wide spaces.
And then you get Ella Toon running through the middle, don't you?
Yeah, I really like what they're going on, and I wouldn't make any changes. I know there's debates about bringing in Lauren James, but for me, I'd leave it as it is.
I think these players, they showed comfortably that they outclassed Australia, and yeah, I think if it's not going well, if it's not going right, you can bring on Lauren James and and it changed up the game entirely. It's a whole different. What do we use? What's the term we used to like to use a lot? Different bow to your string to your bow.
String to your bow.
Yeah, I think that's the case. But yeah, for me, it's been really impressive to see. It's been consistency throughout and a growing consistency. They've exponentially got better game after game. This for me was their best game of the tournament.
Yeah, I think so.
Against probably the best opposition they come up against.
Yeah.
And to go also, don't forget they're playing in a stadium where it's 95% Australian home fans. It's not easy to do.
Would have loved to be there. Would have been class.
Yeah, it's not easy to do. You could even hear at the end when the celebrations were happening. It was so quiet because the stadium was just full of Australians.
Yeah.
But fair play to Australia. I think they put on a really good show themselves. And I think it's a World Cup that everyone will look back on with fondness as well, just in terms of sort of how nice it's been to watch, how inclusive it's been for everyone. So yeah, hats off to Australia. But yeah, it's all eyes on the final now. It's
Sunday. Do you want to give me a prediction?
I'm gonna go. I think it's gonna be cagey. I think it'd be like each team's gonna sit back and not want to lose this.
Yeah.
I think Weigmann's probably gonna want us to start off on the front foot. These very generic sayings. It's a hard one, but for me, yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll probably 2-1 England.
2-1 England. I think that's a very good shout, but I think it's going to be even cagier. I'm going to go 1-0 England.
Ooh. In normal time?
Yeah. Although I would love a late situation, like when Chloe Kelly won the Euros.
Yeah.
The last minute,
She can't even get a start in the space and start 11.
Yeah.
She's like a cultural icon.
It'd be what it'd be.
She could do it again though, after her fantastic penalty.
Yeah. Nash. Yeah. 100%. But yeah, let us know in the comments. Who do you think is going to win? Are you backing the Lionesses to bring home yet another piece of silverware? Fuck the men's team, they're useless. Up the Lionesses every single day.
Every single time.
Come on.
Love to see it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Remember to hit that subscribe button. And yeah, let us know down below. It's been BoreDraw. And it's coming home.
Come on!